Hello, it is so hard to believe that it is already Tuesday again, and of course it is time for Take Home Tuesday. You know by now, we are downstairs at Hen and Chick Studio here in Conrad, Iowa, and we are looking forward to a great fun project. Now, Cameron, dig through the scraps. Come on in here and dig through these scraps for just a minute and see if you find anything that you like in there.
Lots of options, that's for sure.
Options. Does anybody else have anything like this?
Sock monkeys.
Sock monkeys.
All of it.
You know, and even some strips. Well, you know, of course, we have an idea of how you can use some of your strips. Now, maybe you're following along, and we love when you come and comment and show us things in our creative community, but we are about all things creative, not just sewing. As you well know, you've followed us, you've seen us paint, you've seen us, what else have we done?
Cook.
Yeah. The girls like those days, right, Cameron?
Oh, yeah.
Cameron's behind the camera with me today. But today we are actually going back to a sewing project. Again, maybe you are not super experienced in sewing. Perfectly fine. Maybe you're looking for a project. Perfectly fine. Maybe you just love the entertainment that we provide around here. Perfectly fine. So, scraps. Y'all have them, probably. If not, you should, right? What can I make with scraps? So these are literally a couple strips that I have just saved. I think they're about a 2-inch strip that I saved from a project, actually from a kit that we did here at this studio. It could be a longer piece, and of course, what we're working towards today is how we can use strips to create, and this is just like a little table topper. Okay, so this was literally, it's just leftover strips. These ones happen to be 2.5 inches. If you are familiar with quilting and you bind, a lot of times you're cutting your binding strips or strips to cut blocks 2.5 inches. That's what these strips were. So we're gonna walk through the process of this because it is not a complicated, it's quick and easy. And here's the beauty of it. You can use any size strip. You just want your strips to be a consistent size. Does that make sense? Okay,
Yeah.
You tell me nod or yes or no. So if I had some leftover fabrics here, and we're going to grab some that might kind of coordinate out of here because I saw them in here. Okay. A good idea, depending on how you want it to be. So let me get this out of the way. On this particular one, I used 5 strips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, because I added a variance in tone, so I went every other, which you're going to see as we do this, we ended up, when we cut the triangle, again, you'll see it when we do, that it went in a pattern of every other next to each other. So yellow, black, yellow, black. If I didn't like this look of having the two, I kind of like it because it's fun, but that's me. I would want to use just 2 fabrics, so 1, 2, 1, 2. Then it would create a ringed effect, right? So I'd have yellow with yellow with yellow with yellow. I hope that kind of makes sense. Sometimes when we're explaining stuff, it can be a little confusing, but hopefully that makes sense. So you are in total control of this, and you're going to see why I ended up having every other as we get going. So if I wanted to have use just 2, oh, and don't forget, you can use 2-inch strips, you could use 1-inch strips, you could use 5 1-inch strips, make it very scrappy looking. You could make them just 2 little sections. Wouldn't it be cute if it's just a 2 little section one? Put up a little pot on it. Again, it's just whatever you have that you can do. So I'm going to take out my stripology ruler, and I would cut my strips if I had this size of fabric. Again, if you're not familiar with stripology, you can look at that another day, but we got a couple patriotics. I'd lay it down, cut whatever size strip I'm determined I'm going to use. This one was 2.5. I've already stripped, had these strips already cut. We refer to ourselves sometimes as strippers around here in a good way because we strip sew our quilting, our fabric. Okay, so these strips are 2 inches wide. So I've already sewn them together, but now I need to press them. For this particular project, we do want to make sure that we're pressing them all the same direction. So whether it just that they're all going that same direction, giving it a nice press here. Okay, Now this one, again, I am going to end up with an every other pattern. And this, what I decided to use 3. Again, this is to give you some inspiration and how to be creative. So I'm using a smaller strip. This one was 2.5. These are 2 inches. This one I'm using 3 strips. This one I used 5. You are in control of what you want to use. Of course, it would be very cute with some Iowa State fabric or school colors or just fun, like this one, fun for spring. I don't know, Cameron, what color would you pick? Your favorite color?
I like, it depends. There's a couple collections that I like. I like blues.
Put her on the
Oh, yeah.
But again, it doesn't have to be patriotic or whatever you wanted it to be. Okay, so now I've cut my strips, straight sewn them together, ironed them so the seams are all going the same way. Let's get our mat out of the way. Now I'm going to use a 60-degree triangle, or you could actually accomplish it on your stripology ruler. This one happens to be the Hex and More ruler. There's also 60-degree triangles and 60-degree diamond. Any of those are going to get the same function that you're going to have with this, right? I just need that 60-degree one. And I need to find where our, here it is. I hit it. So I'm simply going to lay this down using the flat edge up here and kind of lining it up on the seam. See how I'm doing that? Can you see, Cameron?
Yep.
And I realize it's kind of upside down. Okay, so now I'm going to cut my triangles. So I'm going to go one side and then the other side. Okay, so there's one triangle. Whoops, those darn little threads. Now to get the second triangle, I'm going to reverse it. So that one was this way. To get the most use of my fabric, I'm going to turn it this way. Same thing. Use this flat edge up here to line it up. Use that same angle and cut. So I'm coming up with these. Now let me get a few more cut, and then I'm going to give you a couple ideas or options. Because this is a smaller, obviously it's not going to turn out as large as the one I've already done. So you can get an idea of just what a 1/2-inch size ruler or 1/2-inch strip makes a difference. If you wanted to use, I think you can make little coffee mugs on that. So you can just go back and forth cutting them like this, right? This is with the fabric that I used on this particular one. And because it is going to be smaller, I'm going to be able to get more than if I had 5 strips on there. Let's see if I can get some on here. So that's all I'm doing, is going back and forth and cutting. Pretty quick and easy. Cameron, I think you could handle it, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I probably could.
Yeah, you can do it. So just laying it back and forth, reversing it. Again, I'm using the 60-degree. The particular ruler I happen to be using today is the Jaybirds Hex and More. You can use the diamond, 60-degree diamond. You could use the 60-degree triangle, any of those. Okay, so you get the idea, right? Cutting back and forth. So now, here's why. Do you understand now why I have the 2 every other? Because when I cut it one way, my smaller portion of the triangle is that side. When I come back in and cut it the other way, my smaller, or the tip of my triangle, is from the other end. Therefore, when I come back, in this particular case, those would be alternating, but the red would stay as the center. Make sense? So what I need to do now is sew these together, 3 pieces together. So 1, sew along here, and obviously we don't have a sewing machine, but you can figure out how to do that. I'm going to come back here, stitch my 1/4-inch seam here, so I sew 1/2. Same thing, I'm going to come in here on the other side, sew 3 together, find the right one. So stitch one way, stitch this one, so I end up with 3. Then I'm just going to sew in the 2 halves together. Does that make sense? Now, because I use smaller, I could also come back in here and start creating, see how I could switch it and put all my yellows, and I would have enough here still that I could keep cutting it and create it so it is, you see the difference? Just a small visual difference of, I'll use half, that versus this. Okay, so again, you are in control. If you just use 2 fabrics, you'd always have the same fabrics mirroring each other. Since I used more than that, I can have a kind of an option of what I want to do. Let's cut another. So to get that one, I need to cut 2 to finish that way. Let's get it the right way. So what do we think? Is this a manageable project of some use of scraps that we could be doing? So now, there we go. I'd sew those together. So halves and then the halves together. And that'd be a cute little, what's the next holiday? Doesn't have to be a holiday. You could just give it to somebody. It could be May Day, perfect for a little flower pot sitting on there, a little table decor. I was thinking this morning if I even just use 2 sections, it could be a little mug rug type thing. So again, your fun, you get to play, go find some scraps, project that you can have done rather quickly, right? Looks like I still need to cut one more. 2 totally different looks from 1 strip of fabric. So today I used on this one, remember? I used the 2.5-inch strips on this one. So now I see the 2. Oh, they look so different, but yet they coordinate. That's fun. What a bright color. So this was 3 2-inch strips. This one was much larger with 5 2.5-inch strips. Again, you get to be in control of what you create with it. How about you go find some scraps today? Come up with something fun. Make sure you tag us or share it with us because we love to see that you used our ideas. We hope you enjoy our Take Home Tuesday as always. Make sure you check out our other episodes. They're always available for you because you never know when you might need an inspiration. Remember, not all of them are sewing, so you can share with friends, family, with the kiddos. We like to try to get you inspired in all different ways. So until next week, have fun, be creative, and remember, choose happy.